Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants Hangout. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I will be your host for today. If you've been tuning in this month, you know that we have been diving deep into climate change. So we've been talking to different climate scientists and explorers from all over the world and learning not only about the issues and how it's affecting our planet, but also hearing about some of the people who are working hard to find solutions to mitigate these problems. So before we continue on, I want to give a huge shout out to Environment and Climate Change Canada. Thank them for their support and helping to make these events possible this month. And I want to get to our main event now. So really excited to be joined by Anthony Esquega. He's from the Kiashke Zaaging Anishinaabek Gull Bay First Nation, an Ojibwe community on the western shore of Lake Nipigon in Northwestern Ontario. He's the community's energy projects coordinator, the official liaison between the community, chief and council, industry partners, and agencies in his first major project, the Gull Bay Diesel Offset Microgrid Project. So this is Canada's first fully integrated remote renewable solar energy storage microgrid. And then you can see as well that Anthony is joined by his intern Travis as well today. So Anthony and Travis, it is so awesome to have you joining us live today. We've got a great group of classrooms, and we're excited to learn about this really unique and exciting project in your community.
Thanks, Joe. Excited to be here. And thanks to the classrooms and all the students. It's an honor to come and present to you. Are we ready to get started, Joe?
Absolutely. Let's jump right in.
All right. Okay, so bonjour. Esquega Indigenous Kiashke Zaaging Anishinaabek. My name is Esquega, as Joe mentioned, and I come from Gull Bay First Nation. And it's a Ojibwe Nation north of Thunder Bay, and I'll show you. We're working on a solar microgrid project. It's Canada's first fully integrated remote renewable energy storage microgrid. It's in the testing and commissioning stages right now, but we have all the assets constructed on the land. We're just going through some testing. And this is our solution to climate change, and it's going to steer us in a path to a clean energy future for our community. And we're going to show you some pictures and show you some of the technologies that we're using. And in my grandmother's word of advice, she always says, have an open heart and have an open mind. And thank you for listening. So let's get right on it. For our energy team consists of, from Gull Bay here, our chief of the community is Chief Wilfred King. We call that Ogama, that's our chief. And Councillor Kevin King is the energy lead. He's one of the 10 councillors for the community. He's the energy lead for the project. Myself, AJ Esquega, Mashkawiziiwin Energy Projects Coordinator. And Mashkawiziiwin means your power, your strength. And that's the energy within all of us, is our power, our strength. And we have Travis Panagian working beside me. He is the energy projects intern as well. And for Ontario Power Generation is our project development partners, and they have a strong team working with us on the solar microgrid. And that's Rosalie Allen from Ontario Power Generation, Sean Bremner from Power Generation, and Jillian McLeod. They are the main contacts with OPG, and they're working with us.
I just wanted to give it for just a second. Did you start sharing the slides? I just want to make sure that we're.
Yeah.
Oh, can you try again? Hit the green button and choose the option to share your whole screen.
Oh, okay. My apologies, everybody.
That's okay.
I'll go back to the main point there. Where's that green button?
Over on the left. If you go over to the left, it pops out from the side of the screen.
Okay. Let's go. Okay, over to the left.
In the
share.
There we go.
Okay, see? All right.
We're in business now.
We're in business. So this is, yeah, like I mentioned, we're going to be Canada's first fully integrated remote renewable microgrid. It's a big, long word, but it's going to be the first of its kind that connects solar with battery energy storage with the existing diesel's energy source to offset the diesel. And we'll be offsetting about 25% of diesel fuel a year, 120,000 liters. So we're not offsetting all of it, although that's our goal, is to be completely off diesel. but it's a good start. Here is our team again: Chief Wilfred King, Councillor Kevin King on the far right, energy lead, myself on the bottom right or bottom left, sorry, and Travis on the bottom right. And here is our project development partners, OPG, Rosalie Allen, she's the senior advisor with Ontario Power Generation, Sean Bremner, senior engineer at OPG, and Jillian McLeod, senior environmental specialist. And we have our energy advisors, our clean energy advisors, Lumos. We couldn't have done it without their support as well. Gull Bay First Nation, we don't know too much about the energy field and the sector, so we brought on what we think is the best in Canada, and they're doing a really good job helping us with our clean energy projects. So that's Chris Henderson and Daryl Brown from Lumos Energy. So where is Gull Bay First Nation? This is a shot of where we are. As you can see, we're in Ontario in Canada here, and we're on Northwestern Ontario. And we're located on the western shoreline of Lake Nipigon, and it's about 2 hours north of Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay is the biggest city in our neck of the woods here, and it takes that's where our grocery stores are, and you know, gas. We don't have a gas station, we don't have a grocery store, so we got to go travel that way to get our basic needs. Here's a shot of the community on how it looks. This was taken in May last year. So this is the homes are built there and the roadways around the community. And this is pretty much it. Aside from the bottom right of the screen, it loops around to the river and comes back out. And we're in Ojibwe Nation, and our community is one of the original signatories to the 1850 Robinson Superior Treaty. There's about 375 people living on the land in Gull Bay, and about 1,025 people living outside the current reserve boundaries. So those are people living in Thunder Bay and all other places of the world that are from the community. There's 97 residential homes and 13 community buildings in the community. And the community buildings include a water treatment facility, volunteer fire hall, recreation center, arena, health center, government office, etc. But like I mentioned, there's no gas station, there's no grocery store. There is a small store in a home that serves basic needs, but nothing on larger scale. And our community is on boiled water advisory, and it has been that way since 1998. So we've been drinking bottled water since 1998, and we're hoping to get off the boiled water and into have a new water treatment facility here, and one's being developed soon. It's just in the pre-development stages. So here's a picture of our diesel generator station. Well, Hydro One Remote's diesel generator station. And it currently has 3 generators in it, 450 kilowatts, 250 kilowatts, and 180 kilowatts generators. This was constructed in the 1960s and has had a few upgrades since then. So we have been diesel reliant since the 1960s, which means Gull Bay's only power was diesel. And that's over 60 years ago. And it powers the 97 homes, it powers the 13 community buildings, and it uses about 450,000 liters of diesel fuel a year. It's a big amount of diesel fuel. So as you know, we want to get away from diesel fuel. Diesel fuel is costly, it harms and pollutes Mother Earth. There's risks of fuel leaks, there's great chance of negative impacts to the air, to the water around us, and it leads to causing rapid climate change. Currently, we use about 85% of that diesel capacity, the power. So one of the nice things about the solar microgrid is that we'll be able to increase our power a little bit, or have options to use clean energy sources such as solar to increase our power supply to the community. But right now there's no ability to grow in homes, no ability to grow in infrastructures or services. So we need more energy. This is a kind of picture of what our plan for that solar microgrid project will look like. As you can see on the far right of that cartoon picture, that's the diesel generator plant. And then those 2 buildings across the road, that's the battery storage building and the microgrid controller building. And then you can see the field has solar panels that are all constructed in it. That's how the initial plan started to look like when we had the idea on the solar microgrid for the community. And this would power to the community. And so just so I wanted to share on how solar power works. When the sun is shining, the photovoltaic cells catch the sun. Those solar panels will catch those solar rays, and it'll charge. A charge controller controls the amount of charge going to the source, the battery. So the battery stores the energy for use, and then the inverter converts the energy stored into the battery for a desired voltage. So we needed the battery and we needed the inverters and the solar rays in order to capture and store that solar power, that clean power from the sun. And that's how it works. So this is some of the technology that we use in the solar microgrid. Those things on the far left are called helical piles. And those are initially like big screws, big screwdrivers that go into the ground. And they are what we are going to put our solar panels on. And as you can see, there's me smiling there on the far right. And that's a helical pile installed in the ground. There's no solar panels attached to it yet, but you'll see in a few pictures ahead that there will be. And right now, this picture was taken in February. So there's 1,020 solar panels installed. There's some snow right now, or there was snow on the panels back then, but you can see a picture on the far right how it looks without snow. So it is constructed now. And then here's some info on the battery energy storage. We have 300 kilowatts of solar storage capacity. That's kind of how it'll look like in a container. There's racks that'll store the battery cells and the modules. And then these are kind of how the batteries will look like, the cells. They're kind of like your cell phone batteries, your iPhones, inside there. So they're the same type of battery, the lithium ion, and they're all stored in these modules, and they're all put in the rack, and they're going to be stored in the container. So I think I did the math. I think it comes up to like about 185 cell phones. I believe if my math is right, is how much this will store it. And this is the battery storage, so where the batteries are kept. And it's kept in a safe place. With that building right there is temperature controlled, and it has a built-in fire suppression system, and the frame is concrete. So it's heavy stone that is shelling those batteries. So it's fairly safe, and it's a good, strong design. This is the e-house, pretty much the brains of the whole operation. That green building there is where the microgrid controller sits, and that's the brain that's going to be facilitating the use of the solar panels and the battery. It's going to control those distribution of power to the diesel generator station to the community. So it's going to work with this side of the road with the solar array and the battery, and then it's going to work with the diesel generators across the road to distribute clean solar power to the community. When their sun is shining, and Gull Bay will be running on 100% solar power. As soon as the sun goes down, though, we have about an hour of battery energy storage left, and then the diesel generators will be kicked on. So during the sunlight hours, we'll be running clean power, but during the night, we'll be turned back to diesel. So part of our role, Gull Bay First Nation, our community's role, we're the stakeholders throughout the project development, and we're part of the ongoing discussions, decision-making, project managements, and monitoring throughout the stages. And we assist our partners, OPG, in securing project funding. So we're working together with OPG, and everybody has the same seat at the table. And at the end of the day, once this project is tested and commissioned, and our independent engineers give the thumbs up saying that everything is working as it should, and it's functioning and it's working properly and it's built as spec, Gull Bay First Nation is going to own it 100%, which is unheard of, and it's a first and unique of its kind in Canada. where a utility transfers a project over to a community 100%. And we'll gain revenue from selling the solar power energy to Hydro One. So there will be some revenue for the community as well. And we want to share our experience with other remote communities that want to get off diesel as well, because we want to share what we're learning so that our planet becomes a cleaner planet. There's less emissions and diesel fuel and pollutants in the air and around us. So our project development partners, as I mentioned, were OPG, and this stemmed from reconciling a past grievance on flooding that happened a long time ago in the community, which damaged our lands and it damaged our cemeteries. So we have been working collaboratively since 2015 on this renewable energy project concept. OPG has since 2014 came and apologized for the wrongdoings in the past, and now we're working together on strengthening this relationship. And so this is part of that project. We're part of that reconciliation. Sorry. And Hydro One also is a partner in this, and they're the current diesel operator, owners of the existing diesel generation plant, and they have been here since 1960, and it's our only source to the source of power to the community right now. So we'll always be in a relationship, long-term relationship with Hydro One as well, because even once we get off, if we ever get 100% off diesel, we'd like to keep it as a backup, just in case whatever power source we have in the future doesn't work from time to time. We can have the diesels as a backup power. So part of the impacts to the community, you can see a picture on the right. This is a booth at our powwow, and you can see Travis is there. He's working with the youth on coloring some of the logo pages. But the societal and economic benefits for Gull Bay is we've had employment opportunities for our members during the project development stages and throughout the construction of the project. Our business partners that we deal business with, Gull Bay, has had opportunities to subcontract in this project. There's also going to be revenue money made from this by selling the solar power through a power purchase agreement, and we're gaining microgrid business management experience. This is the first in Canada, and we're going to be part of that team that knows the first on how to develop a microgrid solar energy storage in the community, in a remote community. So it's changing our long-term energy plan as well, from one that's diesel dependent to one that's clean renewable. And we're educating our youth, we're educating our kids along the way. And this is also building our relationship between, the federal governments and the project partners and other First Nations around us. So part of the environmental impacts, we're going to be creating cleaner air and a cleaner environment. We're utilizing a sustainable resource. That sun is always going to be shining. It's more connected to our lands and values as Ojibwe people to take care of the land, take care of the animals and the plants around us, so that our next generation, our kids, or you, all of you, have a clean planet to live, so that your future is sustainable. And it's reaffirmation of the scientific collective traditional knowledge and the elders used in this project, and it was nice to see that it was being utilized and regarded. So just a quick tip or facts about the project: 25% of the diesel is reduced a year. That's going to be the plan. That's about 120,000 liters a year, and that's about 2,997 bathtubs. So if you take 2,997 bathtubs and fill those out, that's how much diesel fuel we're reducing. 350 metric tons less of CO2 emissions in the air, so less pollutant in the air by 350 metric tons. And if you take that 25% reduction a year, that's like one whole season that will be running strictly on solar if you take it throughout the year. That's pretty cool. For our project team, I just wanted to share what our objectives in this for Gull Bay. This has been a source of pride to the community. We're going to own it 100% at the end of the day, something we're going to be proud of, and we're going to be the first at doing. Microgrid business management experience we're gaining. It's part of our long-term energy plan. We're going to be educating our youth about renewable power. That's the most important thing. And OPG's objective, this is a social license project. They're gaining business or microgrid construction management experience and microgrid operational experience and data as well for the next 20 years. And for both of us, this has been a showcase project that we're both proud of. And we're utilizing innovative technology. We're not using old technology anymore. We're getting into the future, and we're reducing diesel as well. It's a sustainable energy. And the collaboration of all the people that are working together to make this happen for Gull Bay is something unique and to speak of. These are all the project team and collaborators. So we have Kiashke Zaaging Anishinaabek on the right there, Lumos Energy, our energy advisors, Mars, our industry facilitator, ABB is the battery energy storage and microgrid controller supplier. All Trade is our constructor or contractor for the construction of the project. Hydro One is our diesel generator partner that we're connecting the solar microgrid to, and Ontario Power Generation is our project development partners. And at the end of the day, Nipigon Development Inc., which is wholly owned by Gull Bay members, is going to own it. And Nipigon means wolf in Ojibwe. So if anybody was wondering what Nipigon means, that's what it means. And here's our project team. This was taken in April of 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, this is when we first started talking, discussing on how we're going to roll this out in the community. This chief and council, as well as OPG and Lumos Energy with us. And this is how the project looked in June 2 years ago in the summertime. And you can see there's we're getting ready to do some assessments on the environment, environmental review of the area so that we take care of the plants and animals and we don't affect anything that is species at risk. Do some soil testing so that we understand the ground that we're working on, and making sure everything's going to be okay once we start developing this project. And there's some of the logos that were designed from community members, and the winner of the logo contest, you can see right there, is Andrew Wigwas, and it's the design that we use for the project. And here's an example of some of the newsletters, and those are all the logo submissions you can see that we also turned into coloring pages for the youth and the kids. So those became coloring pages for the community. And here is how the site looked on the left here, March of 2018, still trees there, how it looked last year. And here's me and Nashina, we're doing Clean Energy Bingo Night over in the community. And here's our project launch of last year when we first had the shovel hit the ground to start the construction of the microgrid and the site prep and the construction. There's Chief Wilfred King presenting. And May of 2nd, we have the clearing and grubbing of the site, another Clean Energy Jeopardy night at the rec center. And here's an example of the Clean Energy Jeopardy games. And we have Clean Energy Bingo with the bingo balls there. May 16th of last year, the firewood that was cut, or not the firewood, sorry, the trees that were cut at the site, we didn't just want to just leave them and let them rot. Of course, whatever we take from the land, we make sure that we utilize, and we take as much as we need and nothing more. So when we cut down the trees, we buck them up into firewood so that we can give it to elders and community members that use firewood as a heating source for their homes. And this is the crew that did that. June 20th was the microgrid job fair. You can see 2 of the crew members cooking up the hot dogs, getting ready to feast. Here's the site July of in the summertime of last year. And here's our booth at the powwow, the community powwow, at the end of August. And here's some of the coloring pages that the youth and the kids colored in while they attended the powwow booth. And the orientation day, this is when the work officially started happening, the constructing of the fencing of the grounds and the microgrid buildings and solar panels and that. So this is at the end of August. And then you can see our management plan is in there, fencing is in the background. This was last fall, this fall that just passed. And later in the fall there, the helical piles are on the ground, the fence is up. And in October, we have more fence. They're just doing some more helical piles. So it took some time for the helical piles and some of the laying the conduits in the ground for the wiring. From the diesel site to the fence to the different buildings. And on October 24th to the 26th, really exciting, we had a real world media in the community, and that's the host, Melina Labicon Massimo, on Power to the People. It's an episode that's going to be on Aboriginal People's Television in Canada in the fall of this year. So watch out for it. It's going to be exciting. And they showcase Gull Bay First Nation on that project because of the solar microgrid as well. So this is us filming that while they were here. And here's the energy show. Very exciting day. On October 25th, we had the energy show where the kids in Gull Bay got to learn about the clean renewable technologies, wind, solar, battery energy storage, circuits and stuff like that, hydro. And that's a picture of outside the recreation center. And Armstrong students as well as Gull Bay students attended. And here you can see some of the activities that were being done. We also incorporated some of the energies that sustained our people for years. There was the wild rice, the manoomin, on the top there that we wanted to share and get the kids to touch it and feel it, as well as the fire that keeps us warm at night and heats our food and heats our water. And there's me being interviewed, and there's the kids playing with the technologies, the little activities, and getting familiar with it. So right after that in November, there was the solar panels that are starting to be installed. The battery building arrived November 22nd, and the EHOS arrived December 10th, just before Christmas. And you can see some just after Christmas in January of this year, testing and commissioning has been done. And a few weeks ago, March 27th, the volunteer firefighter crew, as well as some of the maintenance crew and community members were trained how to combat a fire or respond to a fire at a solar site and battery site. So it's very different from, coming to a fire at a house or something, because we're dealing with electricity and solar power and battery power. We got to update the fire crew, so that was presentation, and that's the picture taken. And here's a picture of the morning sun rising in the east in Gull Bay. So when you look outside the government office here in Gull Bay on a sunny morning, that's what you see. And that's what we're looking forward to every day, is that sun shining and thinking about the youth and the kids and their future. And that's what it's all about. And I thank you very much, Shimigwich, and I am open for any questions.
All right, Anthony. Well, thank you so much. And we'll just give you a second. If you click that stop screen share at the bottom, that'll bring you back to us. Or you can hit the green button again on the side. There you are. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I want to give a shout out Mrs. Robertson's class in Toronto. They just had to run, but they really enjoyed the presentation. They sent a few messages. They want to say that they really appreciate what you're doing, taking control of your energy in your community, helping Mother Earth. They think you have a cool team, and they loved your logos. So they're pretty excited about that.
Thank you, Miguel.
Very cool. Well, let's meet some of our classrooms. Let's steal some questions from them. So we are going to go to Ottawa, Ontario first. We have some grade 5s hanging out with Mrs. Cassiati. Let me turn their microphone on. There we go. How are we doing, Ottawa? All right. Who's got a question for Anthony?
Me. I think you said that in the slide though. Yeah.
It's okay. Do you guys want us to come back? Oh, there. Yeah, we can hear you okay. But Anthony, they're wondering how you got inspired to do what you do.
I would have to say when I was a young kid, well, my community inspires me, big time. And just seeing the positiveness come to the community with the solar microgrid and getting people interested in the technology and seeing the kids really grasp the clean technology, and that's inspiring. And it's one of those things is, I love being a Ojibwe, and coming back to my home community after leaving for years to go to school and stuff like that, and to come and help out and be something that's useful that the community can thrive on and grow. So.
All right, very cool. Well, we're going to swing back your way in a moment, but let's go to the Cayman Islands. We have some grade 5s hanging out with us with Mrs. Watler. Let's get their microphone turned on. How are we doing, grade 5s?
Hello.
All right, who's up with a question?
Me. Okay. Like, is this going to be like done in other places? Like, is there a plan to do somewhere else?
Yeah, good question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the goal, is to share what we're learning here to other communities that want to get off diesel. This is the first of its kind in Canada. So we want to, if there's other communities in the north here, and I know we've discussed on, even if we have to travel far across the globe, if people are interested and if it's going to help Mother Earth, then why not? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And I think that's one of the coolest parts of the project. The microgrid is awesome and it's going to help the community so much, but the ability to help other communities, I think, is something pretty special too.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Wildchuck's class, they're hanging out with us in Thunder Bay. How are you doing, Thunder Bay?
Hey.
Oh, hello.
Hi. What are you doing to raise awareness about your project?
Oh, we're good question. And well, we're doing we've done conferences across Canada, which include Toronto, Calgary, and Winnipeg. And I know Chief King and Councillor Kevin King have been part of those presentations. Myself, of also doing webinars, and this Exploring by the Sheet is another example where we want to share what we're doing. But really too is when we'll start to really pick up speed about sharing is once it's tested, completed, and in our ownership, is then we can really start to share some really good information and what we're learning. So we're doing quite a bit, and we also have a newsletter out every season. Every spring, summer, fall, winter, we have a newsletter that we share and we post on our Gull Bay First Nation website. So if communities are interested in learning what we're doing as we move along in the project, they can go to the website and find out that information there too as well. And we created a Facebook page. So we have a Facebook page on Facebook that we do some updates now and then on there. And yeah.
All right, very cool. Getting the word out.
Answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think once it's up and running, you'll have even more to share. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Let's swing through and hit Mrs. Cassiotti's class again. Do you guys have another question?
If anybody wants to come back for questions.
Oh my God, did you see Alex?
Mrs. Cassiotti, your microphone's working. You can just ask if you want. So Anthony, they just typed me a question and they're wondering, is there anything that you can do to help?
Yeah, I think the share some ideas. like certainly in your own communities or where you're from, you can, start to think of some ideas, share it with the people that are doing it with, share it with us as well. We want to hear from the youth what ideas they have for the future. There's a cool youth fusion project happening in Armstrong where they're starting to develop environmentally conscious projects within their communities. And I think your ideas are so important for this future, because you're excited about the environment, you're excited about your futures, and we want to keep that excitement. And whenever you can, and I know this is a habit that I do, is if I see garbage on the ground, I'll pick it up and I'll recycle or I'll compost some of the stuff that I have at home. It starts at home, and then it works its way through the community. And I think you as youth and kids are teachers as well in your own sense, because your parents and myself, we're watching out for you, and we want to listen. So I know that for myself, my nieces and my cousins, they teach me lots, and I just want to mention you guys and girls got some great ideas, and keep it up.
All right, great answer. Mrs. Robertson, I can see you pop back in. Do you want to ask a question or say something to Anthony? Just turn your mic on for us. Mrs. Robertson, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine. My kids are all just getting library books and stuff, but it was just really interesting to see your presentation. We just did a pickup all around our school. I just love all your ideas. I would like some solar panels for the cottage. Like these kids are, hey Adam, be polite. This is our little hedgy animal. We always try and look after the earth. We don't. It's up here. It's up here. It's okay. Up there. Okay. Don't be distracted. Go back. Anyway, we just love what you're doing. I think it was very, very informative and great to see the visuals that you provided. So I just want to say thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for tuning in from Toronto. Mrs. Watler's class, I'm going to turn your microphone back on. Do you guys have another question for Anthony?
So, were there any major problems that you ran into over the process?
Oh, good question. Oh, that's the thing about the, I got a cramp, sorry. These construction projects, you can plan for, certain construction days and have a timeline, but it never goes to plan. So we had some issues with, when we were doing the helical piles, those big screws that go into the ground, we tested some areas, or we had a plan to build it closer to the road. But as we started to do those testing to make sure that it can withstand the frost, the thawing and the frosting of the ground in the springtime, they failed those tests. So our hopes to build it closer to the ground changed when we had to go build it further away from the road, because there was better ground for those solar panels to do. And that cost us weeks in delay. And there's also delays in deliveries. I think we're hoping to have some items delivered on a certain days. There was delays on that. And one good thing I can say about that though is that when we did the project, we made sure we reviewed a big chunk of land around the site, to if we ever had to move the site a little to the left or a little to the right, we did our assessment on that whole area. But right now, and two, we're also experiencing some delays in the testing, just because there is going to be some issues in some small things, like the solar panels. One solar panel didn't work when they installed them all. Out of 1,020, 1,019 of them worked, one didn't. And it's like a Christmas light. If you take one Christmas light out, the rest of those lights don't work. That's how the solar panel didn't work. So they had to wait. They had to get another solar panel delivered, and that took a week or a couple of weeks. And then once they got that in, they were able to tell it and then have that all taken care of. But that's how it is. These things don't go to plan sometimes. Sometimes you got to go deal with hiccups, and you just do the best you can, and you rely on your team, the people that are working around you, to come up with solutions or to help out, and you work as a team and you get it done.
All right, very cool. That's knowledge you can pass on as well. Things that didn't go right, you can help work those out for other people. So good things to learn from. All right, Mrs. Wowchuck, class in Thunder Bay, you can have our final question if you've got one for us.
Yes, I don't want to shift gears too much, but our class is working on a project right now about preserving and conserving water. And they've looked a lot at the fact that a lot of remote communities are on boil water advisories. And you mentioned Gull Bay has been on one for a long time. Could you briefly just talk to the kids and tell them what that's like? What does that mean to be on a boil water advisory? How does that affect your day-to-day life?
It affects us, big time. I mean, you gotta boil, if you want to have a glass of water to drink or make juice, you gotta boil your water first, and you gotta boil it to a certain temperature so that it will clean it and destroy all the germs and contaminants that could, like E. coli or potentially E. coli, that could be in the water. And so it's a process. Everything is longer, and in some parts of the communities, because of the distance from where the water pump station is, some will be darker. The water will be darker in some areas. So you might have dirty water, to shower in or bath in, and so it affects it, as well as the plastic jugs that get delivered. They don't take the jugs back, unfortunately. The jugs stay here, and there's no means for Gull Bay to get them picked up or sent back to the Thunder Bay. So we have a lot of plastic jugs in the community. So there's a challenge there. And you know what? We can't build any schools. We don't have a school because we want to make sure kids have clean drinking water. So that's one thing we got to ensure, is that we have clean drinking water for the kids before we build a school. So that is another thing that affects our community. So that's why it's so important to have clean drinking water in the community, why it's a challenge.
All right. Well, first of all, classrooms, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. You always come up with awesome questions, so it's so great to have you joining us today. And Anthony and Travis, thank you so much for letting us steal some of your time. Such an exciting project. And yeah, we look forward to the update that says it's up and running.
Thank you very much. Kichimigwech, which means thank you.
All right, I'm going to turn the microphones on. So boys and girls, if you want to get loud and say goodbye and thank you, now's a good time. All right. Awesome job. Thank you so much for joining in, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right.